right. Hello. I am so excited to be here with everybody this afternoon oh, my Facebook just disappeared on TikTok and hopefully there we go on Facebook. Okay. On TikTok and Facebook, as you come in, let me know that you're here. I can always see that I have viewers, but I can't tell who you are until you comment. So, super excited to be here for my Wellness Wednesday live. If you don't know me, my name is Christy. I am an anxiety and burnout recovery coach, and I help women move from having the debilitating Hi. You need to phonetically spell your first name for me. Is it tell me yes or tell me yes or no? Do you pronounce it chi? Do you pronounce it chai? Like number one, number two, none of them. Let me know how to pronounce your name so that I can call you by name. Because I'm afraid I'll say it wrong. So excited. She. Thank you. Phonetic spelling. That is exactly what I needed. Hi, she. I'm so excited to see you again. And those of you coming in on TikTok, make sure you say hello as well. So excited to have people here. If you don't know me, my name is Christy. I'm an anxiety and burnout recovery coach. So I help women remove from those debilitating symptoms of anxiety. So, okay, for example, I just had a meeting right before this. I got super nervous for it. And I'm like, I thought I was totally past this because sometimes the old habit still creeps up, right? The body still thinks this is how we run. So I'm still in that full-on process of recovery, where this doesn't happen all the stinking time anymore, but just in those occasional instances where I had to run to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, it's time for an evacuation because I got nervous, right? So we were overcoming those debilitating symptoms of anxiety, the anxiety gut, the inability to breathe, the shakiness, the heart palpitations, and then all of the mental pieces of it as well. The negative thoughts, the going down a rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, I got bit by a spider and now I'm going to die. Like those are things that I used to think. I got bit by a spider and I would go down the rabbit hole. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die. I tried new cough syrup. Oh my gosh, I think I'm going to die. So all of those irrational thoughts that run through our head because our body doesn't feel good, and so we start going down that place that we don't want to be, right? So, leading to us not living life in the fullest, where we avoid going places, making friends, trying to do new things, or stepping out into that amazing opportunity or calling that God has, whoops, just lost my TikTok. There we go. Or that God has put on our hearts. We don't want to live like that anymore. So I help people move from that state to a state of perfect rest in God's perfect peace so that you can live life big. You can be totally free and you can walk in the true anointing that you have been given as a child of God. So I am so excited, so excited to be here. Continue to say hello as you're coming in. And I want to share with you today, so we have a hard cap of 2 o'clock because I have another meeting at 2. So I promise not to take more than an hour with you today. But today I want to share with you how you can stop panic attacks before they happen without spending any time or any money. Okay, so how do you stop panic attacks before they happen without spending time or money? So this is another one of the strategies that I just finished a section on nervous system regulation in my new book, Anxiety and Overwhelm Scoreboard or Assessment and Scoreboard, and that's what we're going to be talking about today is nervous system regulation, because anxiety attacks happen when your body goes into an overdrive state, right? So you've heard of fight or flight. It's like a lion or a bear is chasing you. Your body prepares for fight or flight so that you can get away from it. But the problem is in our world, we look at everything as a lion or a bear chasing us. We look at The bills are due soon. My kids cry too much. I have too many chores. I have too many activities. I have so much stress at work. I'm in a toxic environment. And so, inside of our bodies, what is going on is that our brain is taking so many of the things that really we should be able to just be pretty calm on in only a moment. And it is inflating it to this huge, huge issue where we lose the ability to step down from being in what I call sympathetic overdrive, where we're in fight or flight all the time. And sometimes we're stuck there for so long that our adrenals completely burn out. They're starting to steal nutrients from everywhere else in the body, and we end up in a freeze state, a constant freeze state. Or we've learned fight or flight doesn't work in certain situations. We go straight to freeze, for example. And hi, Marlene, nice to see you again. For example, in my own life, I learned through my various relationships and in my first marriage and starting in my second, that if I was going to get in an argument with my husband, that, like the screaming, the yelling, the being really hyped up and antsy, and we just gotta get through this. We gotta talk through this. We gotta, like that, because that's kind of how I was, right? You gotta go 1,000 miles per hour in your brain and all the things. It didn't work for me. And so eventually what would happen is I would start there for a very short time, and then I would go straight into this freeze mode, where all I could do was lie in a heap on my bed or curled up on the floor or in a small space or on the chair, and I didn't want to do anything. It was the closest to absolute depression I've ever been. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to take care of myself. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't have the ability to play with my daughter, sorry, I can't play with you. Mommy's too sad right now. And I just completely shut down. It was like my body was going into a place where it was going to go into hibernation mode. And after time, if we continue to live like this, maybe it's not as extreme for you as it was for me, but over time, as we continue to live like this, we start to develop these dis-eases or diseases specifically inside of us. And it was all the stress of the anxiety and the high performing and the perfectionistic that got me into the place that when my first husband left, hey guys, thanks for coming in and giving me those likes on TikTok. Keep that up and say hello so I know that you're here. But over time, what happens is that our body just gets to a point where it breaks. So all the years of being perfectionistic, high achieving, always worried about things, constantly chewing on worries, not knowing how to get close to God, begging, can I please get closer to you? This led me to a place where my body completely broke. It completely broke. Eating food put me in the fetal position where it hurt so badly that all I could do is cry out to God, please let the pain end. I couldn't take care of me. I couldn't take care of my daughter. I was completely and utterly broken physically, mentally, spiritually. It was a mess. And nobody should ever have to experience that. And I pray that you haven't. But even if you haven't, if you struggle with noticing that you worry a lot, or that you tend to get an upset stomach, or you feel a little nauseous, or you feel like it's kind of hard to breathe when you're in certain situations, like for me, driving down a 4-lane highway of any kind would always do that. Getting on a plane, any kind of travel would do that. Having to go somewhere new, having to give a speech, even though I love speeches, having to sing in public, even though I love singing, like all of these things. Oh my gosh, before a race. Because Marlene knew me back when I was a high schooler and I was in cross country and track and basketball, and before a race or a basketball game or a show choir event or anything like that, it was always a question, was I going to make it to the beginning of whatever it was on time? because I was in the bathroom, or would I be able to clench hard enough to make sure nothing ended up in my pants? Like things you never wished you knew about me, I know. But this is a reality. Like everywhere I go and I talk to people and I talk about stories like that, I always see heads in the crowd going, because they get it, because they struggle with that too. So all of this is related to nervous system regulation. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, because nervous system regulation is really the connection between the mind and the body's response. Is the body going to over respond or under respond? Okay, so give me, if you can, in the comments, please put ready if you're ready to learn like how this kind of connects and what specifically you can do about it. And we are going to actually go through one of my, what are they called? Routines. One of my routines today. Lost the word for a minute. So put ready in the comments if you are ready. And we're going to dive in. So excited, so excited, so excited. So in the nervous system regulation section of the Rooted Reset, which is the book that I'm writing, and at the moment God's saying give it away, it's free. So I'm on page 87. Like this is going to be over 100 pages by the time we're done. I keep saying soon, 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 soon. It will be done soon, but I don't know how soon is. But anybody who wants to be on the list, just put Rooted Reset in the comments and I will make sure that you get this book for free. So you're going to take a quiz. Let me find the right page. You're going to take an assessment, a little quiz, and you're going to get to check and see, do you struggle with nervous system regulation in a specific area? Because the nervous system regulation quiz that I have here, I actually borrowed from Daniel Amen in his book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. It's a really good book. And I pulled from a very specific portion. He talks about how the brain regulates different responses in our body in different areas. And I pulled from a very specific portion that relates to high anxiety symptoms. So you're going to be answering from rarely to always questions like, how often do you have feelings of nervousness or anxiety? Symptoms of heightened muscle tension, feeling keyed up or on edge, quick to startle, a tendency to freeze in anxiety-provoking situation, excessive fear of being judged or scrutinized by others, conflict avoidance, lacking confidence, sensitive to criticism, biting fingernails or picking at skin. I don't know about you guys, like my husband bites his fingernails. I think it's a habit for him more than an anxious thing, but maybe it is, and I don't know. I pick at my lip. I pick at my lip all the time. Do I have any other lip pickers out there? I sometimes even like pick at it so much I end up bleeding. It's not a good habit. Teeth grinding is actually another sign, but it's not on this quiz. That one's on my nutrition one. Always watching for bad things to happen. Excessive motivation. Do I have anyone else in the room who is excessively motivated? Like you go, 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 go. You don't ever have to stop. My family thinks I'm like broken. Like it's just how I'm built. Tics. I watch a boy play basketball and he hasn't done it as much the past year or two, but when he was younger, and very, very talented individual, and I would watch him play, and during the game he'd have like this shoulder tic. That would happen a lot. And I recognized that as a sign of anxiety, even though he was able to stay cool enough under pressure to perform incredibly well. Like I recognized that little tic, right? And even poor handwriting. And so put a me in the comments if any of these describes you. Do any of these describe you? So we're ready to learn what to do about it. If any of these describe you, then you might have some concerns with nervous system regulation. And if they don't, there's a lot more than just this little quiz that goes into this. But again, I chose a specific quiz that relates to high anxiety, but there are other pieces too. So here's what happens. If on this little quiz or assessment, you score a high priority, that reflects that you are experiencing frequent or intense symptoms of dysregulation, and regulation and recovery tools may be either lacking in your life or underutilized. If you score medium priority, then you still have signs of dysregulation present, they just might not be dominant. So maybe you're just pushing through. Maybe you're actually masking some things that could be better in your life. All right, so we've got I can relate. Yep. So I think a lot of us can, right? Because this is just a sad reality as to what life has turned into for so many of us, especially, I want to say, especially women. Yesterday, I got up, I did chores for an hour. Yesterday, I think I might have slept in, but on a normal day, I get up, I do chores for an hour, I get my daughter ready for school, I take her to school, I come home, I work a full day. Yesterday I cooked, which my husband usually cooks, bless his heart, I'm so thankful for him. But yesterday I cooked, I cleaned up from cooking, and then I had a meeting last night, and then I put my daughter to bed, and then I sat down and I worked some more before I finally fell into bed, absolutely exhausted at 10 o'clock. And then my husband and I hadn't really interacted throughout the day, and so we spent a bit of time together before I finally went to sleep, probably around 11, and then woke up this morning and didn't want to do any of it. I stayed in bed way too long, and then I had to like squeeze my chores in somewhere else, right? So that's just kind of how our days work. And the problem is when you're going through that and you're not stopping, you're not resting, you're not giving yourself enough you time, enough calm time, and you don't have nervous system regulation built into your day and routines built into your day, it can completely overwhelm you. It can completely overcome you. If you feel overwhelmed more than once or twice a week, then put overwhelmed in the comments for me. If sometimes it just feels like everything is just too much, like there's just too much to do, I can't catch up, I'm not there. Like, we were not meant to live like this. Jesus took time alone in the garden to pray. He took time to have dinners with his followers and his friends. He took time for him. Okay. Oh, I forgot. I also went on a run yesterday too. So like that was my time for me, right? But it's still a stress on the body. And so overwhelmed. And so we've got people who are feeling overwhelmed. You are feeling overwhelmed. We need these exercises in our life. So here's the deal. When we talk about nervous system regulation, I'm going to give you like a 10,000 foot view as to how it works. So when you go back to like biology or middle school and what you learned about the nervous system, you might remember that the nervous system is like broken into parts. We are going to be mostly talking about the autonomic nervous system, or the involuntary nervous system. Okay, so like it controls your involuntary things that you can't consciously control, but we sure as heck can affect them. Okay, so the autonomic part of our nervous system can be split into the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And I love to teach, so I love to explain the why behind some of this. So the sympathetic nervous system is that fight or flight. So you get into a stressful situation and specific things start to happen. Your pupils dilate, your saliva goes away, which is why when I would drive down a four-way road, I had trouble swallowing because my saliva was gone. Your airways actually relax so that you can get ready to run, but sometimes you end up taking deep, quick, shallow breaths, and then it feels like you're not getting enough air, so it's like a trick that's happening on your brain. Your heart rate increases, so if you ever like start feeling your heart rate or hearing it in your ears, or you're like feeling heart palpitations, that's an effect of that. Palpitations are not like just that because that's the heart skipping beats. That's not good. Um, your stomach and digestive activity is inhibited, it's stopped. That's why when I get nervous, I have those quick evacuation situations because everything shuts down and it tries to empty out so that it can conserve resources. So you literally lose the ability to digest anything in that time. And that's part of why we end up so depleted. All right, glucose is stimulated so that you can have energy for a quick burst of energy, okay, to get away. Your bladder is relaxed, which is why you feel like you got to pee your pants sometimes. Sorry, y'all. If you're with me, you're going to hear about pee and poop. That's just how it goes. And so what's happening is your body is getting ready to go. Now, sympathetic and parasympathetic, they alternate through the day in general. We need these to live. It's not always about being in a excitatory, the lion's going to eat me state. It's actually just a natural process. But when it's happening more often than it should is when it comes in for longer than it should is when we start to have big issues. So conversely, the other part of the autonomic nervous system is your parasympathetic nervous system. So this is your like rest and relax and digest state. This is like you're chill, you're calm, you're ready to go to bed, you're digesting your food, you feel really good after the big meal, you're ready to have intimacy with your spouse. Like these are the parts that are regulated by parasympathetic. It can also though be a hyper parasympathetic response and you're stuck in that freeze state that I talked about earlier where I was totally depressed, I was totally despondent, I didn't want to move. So what happens here, your pupils constrict, like they're no longer dilated so you can see like everything around you in sharp, clear detail. They constrict. Your saliva is stimulated. Your airways are constricted. Your heart rate slows down. So you get to, like, these are like actually things that happen when you're calm, okay? Your heart rate slows down. Your stomach and your digestive system, your intestines, your digestive system is stimulated and ready to work and digest and put nutrients into your body. Your glucose calms down, its release is inhibited because you don't need energy, so that's part of why your energy at that time is decreasing and you kind of feel just like calm, your bladder constricts. So it's supposed to be a calm state, but it can go hyperactive into too much too. And we can help regulate both of these. So when you have a regulated peripheral nervous system response, you're going to operate most of the time in what I call a state of security. This is where you feel calm, you feel intentional, you feel relaxed. When you're stressed, whether that's a positive stress or a negative stress, because both exist, we move into a state of stress. You might feel distracted, you might feel rushed, but as soon as the threat's over, you're supposed to move right back into that state of security. And so it's supposed to go back and forth throughout the day. So let's actually do a little test because it's supposed to go back and forth throughout the day. So this is kind of a neat thing that I learned, that there's actually a link between which nostril you are breathing out of. And I didn't put this in the book, so this is just like a freebie today. Which nostril you are breathing out of and whether or not you're in a sympathetic state right now or a parasympathetic state right now. Has nothing to do with how stressed out you are. Remember, it goes back and forth throughout the day, but it can give you an indication as to how you might be reacting in a specific state. For example, I know that when I go to bed at night and my head won't turn off, that if I force myself to breathe through my left nostril, so for you it's probably the other side. Oh, look, on TikTok it's one and on Facebook it's the other. It's so funny. But I know that if I can make myself breathe out of my left nostril, so left, my left, maybe not yours, then I will be more relaxed because I'll move into my parasympathetic state. So your left nostril indicates that you are currently in a parasympathetic state, calm, rested, relaxed. Your right nostril indicates that you are in a sympathetic state, get up, ready to go, or maybe fight or flight, depending on what's going on in your life right now. So an easy way to test, like, okay, well, which one am I in right now? Super easy. If you're at work, it might look a little funny, but you can look down and do it with me. But just take your finger, cover one nostril, and take like 4 breaths through the nostril that's open. Actually, take 2 deep breaths. That should be enough. And then release it. Take a couple of breaths, clear things out. Okay, and then switch. Now cover your right nostril, or your other nostril. I started on the right. I might have said the left. Whatever. Cover your other nostril and breathe in. Couple good breaths. And release. Because if we do it too long, you're actually going to switch which nostril you're breathing through. So if you tried that, put in the chat, could you tell one of those airways was more clear than the other airway? Put left or right, whichever one was more clear. Or if you couldn't tell, let me know that you were unable to tell. I'm sorry, I keep looking over because my cat is sleeping on the chair and he is just so stinking cute. I can't get over it. So for me, yeah, my left, okay, so awesome. So we've got opposites going on. My left airway was the most open. So the left airway, again, is you're in a currently parasympathetic state, you're relaxed. Okay, and then we've got another one whose left airway was open. So Marlene, you're in a parasympathetic state right now, a little bit more of that relaxed, resting state. And your right was more open, so you're more in that sympathetic state. Again, doesn't mean you're in fight or flight, just means you're like in that get up and go state. Now, I don't know, it's 1:32. I just ate a snack. I chose to eat a snack, and then I'm going to have a bigger lunch later because we've got evening activities where I won't be able to eat. I just ate a snack. I had that meeting that made me all nervous, and I came on here and I feel really chill. I don't know if you noticed today, I'm not like I sometimes am. I feel pretty chill right now. I could tell from that I'm probably in a parasympathetic state. The nostril just kind of further engaged that. So isn't that kind of cool how you can tell that? When I was in cross country, I always like wanted to yawn right before a race. I was super nervous, but I always like wanted to yawn at the same time. And I remember Coach Wyndham telling me something once about like that's a normal thing, and I forget why, but I remember that. But I go back to those days and I think, oh my gosh, like before I was going to an event where I needed to be in the get up and go, but I also wanted to be relaxed at the same time, how neat would it have been to know, like, am I in a ready state? And I feel like that's a thing that I could have used for that situation. But anyway, so we want to be regulated. So if you check again in an hour or 2 hours, you might notice that it has shifted. And again, this isn't in the book, so bonus for you today. If you need to relax, you need to calm down, or you need to get out of sleepy and into ready, you can actually purposefully make which state you're in shift by shifting what nostril you're breathing through. And you can do that by either closing and just breathing through one nostril, excuse me, or like what I do at bed at night, I lay down and the nostril that is facing up towards the sky is the one that you will eventually open the airway for and breathe through more clearly. So I go to bed laying on my right side because I know that that will open my left nostril and my body is going to relax quicker. And let me tell you, it's one of my bedtime routines and it is absolutely amazing because between that and my guided sleep meditation, I fall asleep really, really fast now. So why is this all important? Because you need to understand even if you're like in a constant stress response, you're still going to rotate back and forth between these two, but you need to understand some of what it feels like in your body. So what this is just it's developing a body conscientiousness. You need to understand, how do I feel versus what is ideal? Because we have come to a point where we accept feeling crummy all the time and we call it normal. And it's not normal. And if we're constantly living in a stress response, these things are going to happen. So put me, if any of these sound like things that you struggle with or that you constantly feel. So living in an overly sympathetic state, you're going to constantly feel like you're in fight or flight. You're going to be constantly vigilant. You know, like the military people or our policemen who always have to sit with their back against the wall and they're always scanning the room. All right. They're taught to be constantly vigilant. You're going to feel anxious, compulsive. You'll be emotionally reactive. The other day, old habits, still learning how to kill the old habits, even though my mind's not there anymore. My daughter has always been a crier. Always been a crier, and having lived in such an extreme, like having lived as a single mom unexpectedly from the time she was 5 months old to 1.5, I like, while I was really broken, I internalized that was going to put me straight into a fight or flight response, and it continued to for years and years and years. I'm just finally breaking fully out of that. The other day, I saw it was going to happen. I told her what to do so that it wouldn't happen. She did it anyway. She did the opposite anyway. She started crying and I got angry and I was emotionally overreactive. Happens. I went into that. My body remembered that sympathetic response. Remember what we talked about last week with brain wiring? All right. My body remembered. Your adrenaline is going to surge. You're going to have an accelerated heartbeat. Your blood pressure is going to go up. Your breathing rate's going to actually feel like it's constricting. Your blood vessels are going to constrict. Your breathing rate will also increase, even though your lungs are opening up. I said that backwards. You might start to sweat. You're going to feel tense in your muscles. You're not going to have any digestion. Instead, you might have to evacuate. If that describes anybody, put me. That is a hyper sympathetic response right there, when those things are constantly happening. Okay? Now, see if this describes you, maybe some different people, or maybe you as well. This happens again, like when I get into those arguments with my husband, which I have learned through all of this. If you want to learn how to get into a fight with your husband and not fall into a depressive state, not fall into a place where you are emotionally overreactive, but be able to calm yourself down, walk over, make apologies, and be okay until he's ready to be okay, I'm telling you, I'm your girl. I am looking right now for 5 people in the month of May, because April is ending. I'm looking for 5 people in the month of May who are interested in learning how to become totally regulated to where you're not staying in these responses anymore without medication, without having to buy supplements if you don't want to, without using a whole bunch of time so that you feel like your life is dedicated to like fixing yourself, without fixing yourself even, because you're not broken, my friend. There's nothing broken. There are only some things missing between your relationship with you and God and your relationship with how your body responds to things. You're not broken. You're just missing some pieces. I'm looking for 5 people who are interested in engaging on that journey with me to join me, because all of these things that I say I used to be and I am now, this can be you too. This can be you too. I'm telling you right now. And so 5 people have the opportunity to walk out this journey with me, and I'm really excited about it. So if that's you, then you can just put coaching in the comments and I'll reach out to you and we'll set up a call to talk to each other. But see if this is you. This is a hyperactive parasympathetic state, okay? This is where like your social engagement system is totally disengaged. You lose joy. You feel like you either can't talk or everything you say is just like angry and vulgar. Like, oh man, I would get like this. I'd be like, well, I don't give an F in whatever. Like, anybody who knows me knows I don't talk like that. And, but man, I would just like be unable to not talk like that. It was completely horrendous, completely horrendous. Or vulgar gestures. I would walk away sometimes and like flip the bird, like, oh, it's so bad, so bad. And I had no idea that this wasn't like, that this was actually like medically documented as, yes, this is what happens to people when you're in an overly parasympathetic state. Your hearing decreases, your vision suffers, you can't see as well. You ever been so mad that you've like walked into a wall? This is why. All right. And then you become isolated, withdrawn, and numb. You might even fall straight into this like overly free state where you totally dissociate, maybe even faint, go into shock. Your blood pressure drops suddenly. You have reflexive urination or defecation, decreased pain situation. This is why people cut. If you have ever cut or you know somebody who has cut, this is why they cut. Okay, because their body has fallen into this completely disassociated state, and it's the only way that they can feel something. If you ever talk to somebody who is cut, that's what they say. It's the only way I feel something. Otherwise, they feel totally numb. It's not them doing it on purpose. It's not you doing it on purpose. It's because the body's reaction has put them into this state. They're not broken. You're not broken. You're just missing something. You're just missing something. And we're going to fill in the pieces. So we've got 20 minutes. Let me check my chat right now. Okay, so yep, so we're feeling, and it is totally, I'm with you. I've been there. I've been in the oversympathetic. I've been in the overly parasympathetic. Been there. It's a sign of dysregulation. So what do we do when we are dysregulated? Well, first, we have hope that all of this can be reversed. All of this can be reversed. I want you to put that in the comments. It can all be reversed, all right? All of this can be reversed. There are a lot of ways that we can help regulate our nervous system's reaction. So we spent last week talking about agape love and coming into our full identity with the Father. Well, that's what the basis of this for me is. Nervous system regulation starts with brain rewiring. And everything that we talk about in agape love is the absolute cornerstone foundation. It's the most important. Everything that we do there, the exercise that we did last week, that is actually a brain rewiring exercise too. So everything, I meld these together when I work with people. Because they fit together. Paul tells us in Romans 12:2, put Romans 12:2 in the comments for me. Romans 12:2, we are not to conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And God created us so that renewing our mind is not only available as a spiritual practice, but it's actually a physiological way that he created our body. Isn't that great? We can physiologically renew our minds because that is how God created us. It's so awesome. So Dr. Caroline Leaf says there are only two types of emotion. There's love emotion and fear emotion. And all other emotions stem from one of these two roots. She's been doing neuroscience for over 30 years, so I trust her. Okay? And so the feelings that happen, we feel either love or we feel a fear response, and then chemical reactions happen. And when we consider this in light of the nervous system responses, that means that our thoughts are creating chemical reactions that tell our nervous system what to do. So the ultimate key to eliminating anxiety, to stopping panic attacks before they start, is learning how to live in perfect peace by reshaping our minds so that we can perceive life events through the lens of love rather than fear. And we do this best when things are going well. We practice in all circumstances. We are to pray always, rejoice continually, give thanks in all circumstances, whether they're good or whether they're bad. So you're working on building up your reserves before they empty out. I think I said this example last week. Or maybe I wrote it in my book and I forgot. I didn't say it last week. I don't know, but somewhere in my life I said it. Maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't. If you have 30 miles to keep going down the highway, but you only have 5 gallons worth of gas in your tank, you're not going to make it all the way. When do you fill your tank? Hopefully not when your system's going ding, 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 ding. All right, you should make sure your tank is full before you're going on the big journey. So you have to continually fill your gas tank in your car. You have to continually fill the reserves in your body as well. And it starts in the brain. Because research tells us that what we focus on, what we look at, what we put our thought time towards becomes our inner dialogue, our self-talk. That becomes those chemical reactions and gives us those feelings, that love feeling or that fear feeling, and that creates the action inside of our physiological body and also the actions that we do. So your child starts, excuse me, your child starts crying. I'm sorry, I have a little one and I have big ones, and my little one's the one who like gets me the most sometimes. Your child starts crying. If your focus is always on she's always crying, I'm always hearing her cry, I'm always seeing her cry, I'm so tired of it. See the self-talk? I'm so tired of it. I can't handle this anymore. I don't know what to do about it. Do you see how this is spiraling towards that fear response? The feeling is anger, frustration, upset. The action is you go into a sympathetic mode, over the top reaction, and then you might go, ah, stop. I just scared the cat. Sorry, Biddy, it's okay. I scared the kitty cat. He wants out now. I'm sorry. Both kitty cats are scared. That's what happens, right? Our actions scare those around us sometimes and scare us. I feel bad. I didn't mean to scare the kitty cats. Or our focus could be this. After I overreacted to my daughter the other day and she was hiding in a corner crying, I went over to her, I set her in my lap, and I said, Lord Jesus, thank you that you are the most patient being in the entire world and that I get to have your patience within me. I praise you, Lord, and I thank you that I get your patience. And I thank you that I can have it in this moment. My body was calm. My mind was calm. My words were calm. And it used to take minutes upon minutes upon minutes for my daughter to get out of any kind of a fit or a cry. And we were both okay within maybe 2 minutes. And she's like, it's okay, Mommy. And I said, it's not okay, baby. But thank you for your forgiveness. And thank you, Lord, that you are the most forgiving being in the entire universe. And you're teaching me and you're teaching my daughter how to be forgiving too. And that we get to constantly practice this. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't that so different when we focus on God, when we focus on the positive, when we focus on rejoice and thanksgiving, our self-talk completely changes, the feelings inside us completely change, and the action that we do completely changes too. Okay? So I encourage you, put in the chat, it can change. It can change. So Caroline Leaf also says it takes 63 days, okay, 3 cycles of 21 days of practicing a new habit before it becomes a part of your lifestyle. That's why I teach routines. We teach routines. They're going to start as habits. They're going to feel a little bit weird to incorporate, but as you continue to do it over and over and over, multiple times throughout every day, every single day, and they're routines that are quick, they're routines that are easy. That's why I'm promising let's get rid of panic attacks before we have one without using time. Because 3 minutes over the course of 24 hours is nothing. Okay? That's not taking up all your time. And in fact, you can do some of these things while you're doing other things. I love multitasking. And so that's what we can do. So the kitty who wasn't as scared is getting pet right now, and he is feeling so much better. Actually, did you know that like petting cats, petting dogs, petting people, only if they want you to pet them, helps calm your nervous system and can help you relax? So that is another freebie for you today, something that you can get beyond the book. Okay, so let's learn this since we only have 10 minutes. So, one of my key routines that I teach people is breathing techniques because when you go into an anxious state, an overreaction state, you actually start breathing quicker and more shallow, as I said earlier, and this can lead to a deprivation of oxygen in the brain. And the brain uses 20% of the oxygen that you bring in each breath, and it takes 25% of the oxygen that the brain gets to actually like do its processes and stuff. So I love to teach the 4x8 breath, where you exhale twice as long as you inhale. Put 4x8 in the comments for me so that I know that you're with me. You exhale twice as long as you inhale, and as you exhale, you make the sound like you're fogging a mirror. So it sounds like ha. So if you put your hand in front of your mouth and you go, that's the sound you're going to make. Stimulates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is actually a cranial nerve, starts in the back of your head, and it runs through the body and touches almost every single organ in the body and activates their parasympathetic response. So as soon as I start to feel myself going into a panic state, I practice the 4x8 breath. The 4x8 breath calms me down and it relaxes my body so that I don't go into a panic attack. But for me, I have to catch it early because one of my panic attack symptoms is that I can't breathe very easily, and it makes this a lot harder. I would practice this. I practiced this for 2 straight weeks before I went from when I started my job at iReady, and I had to travel. I had to travel about 3 times a year for that to different places, which is why I've traveled so much the last 3 years. And I practiced this for 2 straight weeks with visualizations prior to my very first trip going to Annapolis. And for me, 2 weeks was enough time to go from I had complete panic attacks every single time. If I got in a plane with you and you were my seat buddy, I would have an absolute panic attack. And I would make you my best friend because if I died, I needed you to care. And I needed you to be my mommy and take care of me. Like that's literally kind of what was going on in my head. And I was able to, after practicing this for 2 straight weeks very consistently, especially when I was feeling stressed out, thinking about that trip or doing dishes, which plunged me into panic attacks. That's a different story. I went on my first trip to Annapolis and I didn't have a single panic attack. Not a single panic attack. And from there, I've been to Annapolis, Boston, Seattle, Alaska, Canada, the Bahamas, Florida, South Carolina, Dallas, and Scottsdale without a single panic attack. And it all started with this breath. It is incredibly powerful to rewire your brain and regulate your nervous system. And this is one of my top tips. So we're going to practice this together. If you are doing something where you cannot practice this, then I encourage you to try it later. At any point, if you feel dizzy or lightheaded, please stop this breath and breathe normally. If you need to, put your hands over your head or your head between your knees. This particular breath, if you're not used to doing it, can cause dizziness, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you have any issues with blood pressure or breathing issues or heart issues, then you need to be careful doing this and maybe modify. The key isn't that it's 4 and 8. The key is that you're exhaling twice as long as you inhale, but there are certain medical conditions that this can exacerbate. So just be aware of who you are and what is safe, okay? Just dropped my TikTok again. If you're trying this with me, I'd love for you to put 4x8 in the comments while I give the directions. We're going to inhale for a count of 4 through our nose. We're going to exhale for a count of 8 through our mouth, making that fogging the mirror sound, that ha fogging the mirror sound. As you inhale, I want you to think in your brain, not out loud, I am safe. As you exhale, I want you to think in your brain, not out loud, because I am yours. Who is yours? Yours is God, okay? Inhale, think I am safe. Exhale, think because I am yours. You can add imagery on top of this too, but I gave you a whole lot to think about right at once. So we're just going to do these two pieces today. We're going to do this for 2 or 3 minutes. And then I want you to notice before we start. So first, if anything's crossed, like your legs, uncross them. Make sure your hands are comfortable. I want you to be a little bit closer to the ceiling, okay? And just, if you can, close your eyes. If you're driving or something, of course don't. But if it's safe, close your eyes. And I just want you to check in with your body for a moment. And I just want you to notice how you feel. I want you to notice if you feel tense, if you feel relaxed, if you feel kind of uptight, if you feel calm, if you have achy muscles or tension in any parts of the body, anywhere, anything hurts or is uncomfortable. Notice your tummy and your digestive state. If you're like clenching your stomach, if you're not, just kind of notice where you're at. And we'll do this again at the end to see if anything changed. All right, now we're going to move through the breath. So you can keep your eyes closed so that you can concentrate, or you can open them. It's really up to you. Inhale through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the mouth. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale mouth. 8, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale mouth. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, think I am safe. Exhale, think because I am yours. Inhale, I am safe. Exhale, because I am yours. Inhale. Exhale. Ooh, I had a yawn in the middle of that one. Last inhale. Exhale. And release and breathe normally. And then I want you to do a body scan. And I want you to notice if anything changed. I only got to do a couple of actual breaths in that guidance, and I can already feel that I have less tension in my shoulders and my stomach. My body feels more relaxed. I feel more heavy, like I'm moving down towards the ground, like I weigh a little bit more. If you noticed a shift in the comments, will you put shift in the comments for me? Let me know that you felt something, that you felt a difference, that you felt a shift. This is great because it does a couple of different things to regulate the nervous system. It reduces your heartbeat. It moves you out of sympathetic into a parasympathetic. So if you start this in a parasympathetic state, you might be sleepy by the time you're done, which is probably why I feel kind of how I feel, because I started it pretty calm already. Good, so she felt a shift. And so it's going to physiologically help move you into a parasympathetic state, but you also have that brain rewiring aspect because we did the I am safe because I am yours. And so we're teaching our body that when we know we're safe, to move into that safe position. All right. And so that is one of the things that I have in the book. Again, Rooted Reset, if you haven't already shared that at a previous time, if you are interested in the book, I'll make sure that you get on it. And then I am looking for 5 women. I'm looking for 5 women who are ready to make a transformational shift from anxiety to peace, from feeling upset in your stomach, feeling stressed out all the time, to learning how to live in God's perfect peace and perfect rest so that you no longer have panic attacks, you no longer have an anxious stomach, you no longer feel overwhelmed and stressed out all the time, but you are relaxed and you are ready to go on that journey. If that is you, you can DM me or you can put coaching in the comments and I will reach out to you and we'll set up a time to talk. I am really excited to be offering this opportunity, and it is going to be on I can only take on so many people at a time basis, and so once those spots are filled, those spots are filled. So you have that opportunity if you would like it. Otherwise, I can't wait to get Rooted Reset into your hands. I have to hop into another meeting, so I am going to go. I will see you next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, same place, same time, on TikTok, on Facebook. The replay is available on Facebook, and I am so excited that you're here today. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for interacting. I had an amazing time with you, and I wish you blessings between now and then, and hope that you show up in my Facebook feed, and we get to talk there as well. All right, my friends. God bless, ladies. I will see you soon.